Hey guys, I'm Steff and welcome back to my beauty stash. Today I'm going to be creating 5 fall inspired eye looks using what could be the best palette of fall 2021. And I'm talking about the bPerfect and Stacie Marie MUA Carnival 4 Antidote Eyeshadow Palette. That's a mouthful. This is a big palette, guys. This is a 45 pan eyeshadow palette, and it retails for $55.95 on the bPerfect website. It is in stock right now, so I will most definitely have it linked in the description box of this video in case you are interested in checking it out. This is my second eyeshadow palette from bPerfect and the Stacie Marie Carnival collaboration palettes. I have the one that they released last year. And guys, this is one of my most favorite palettes of all time. I love this Love in Tahiti palette. This came out last year and I just enjoy using it so much. It's just so much fun. The shades are crazy pigmented. They give you a beautiful blend and I'm just so inspired. I love color. You guys know that if you've watched me for a while. I love colorful eyeshadows, but this colorful palette has a bigger sister because this is the more neutral eyeshadow palette of the bunch. And of course, she is much bigger. I will be inserting swatches that I did of this palette. I have not swatched it yet. I probably won't get to do swatches until tomorrow. So today is all about creating the 5 looks for you guys. I don't even know what I'm going to be creating. I never plan out my looks. I just go with the flow, guys. Everything is off the cuff and we're going to see where my new Rephr brushes, I got some new Rephr brushes. I placed my order during the sale. They came in and we will see where those brushes lead me around this palette. You do get a full-size mirror with this palette, and on the back you do get some more information about the palette. It says that it is good for 24 months after opening, and this is PETA approved, so of course it is cruelty-free. All right, guys, let's start creating these 5 fall-inspired eye looks. I will have everything that I am using both on and off camera linked in the description box of this video. Some of those links might be affiliate links, so if you do end up purchasing, I thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. So if you guys want to see this new bPerfect and Stacie Marie MUA Carnival 4 palette in action, keep on watching. Alright, so I've already primed my eyelids using the Juvia's Place eyeshadow primer, and I am ready to take a dive into this massive eyeshadow palette. So right away, my eyes are drawn to the green section, and of course this yellow right here and this one right here. Those are some of my favorite shades to work with. So I guess it would make sense, right, that we start there and then work our way this way, but we'll see. I like to go all around the palette and just mix shades together. But one quick tip when approaching a palette of this size, take it in sections of 9. So like these 9 shades right here, create a look with those 9 shades. These 9 shades at the bottom, create a look using those, and so on and so forth. That will help you kind of visualize things a little bit better, kind of see, okay, you know, these shades will go with each other, so on and so forth. But also don't be afraid to take like this yellow over here and this red down here, this brown down here, and just mix and match them and just see what happens. If at the end of the look you don't like the way it looks, you can always remove it. It's makeup, and that's the fun of playing with it, is just trying new techniques and trying new shades that you ordinarily wouldn't pair with each other. So just wanted to throw that out there in case some of you might be a little intimidated about using a palette of this size. Don't be. Makeup is fun, makeup is our friend, and let's just have fun. Let's start creating some looks. I am going to start with this shade right here, and that one is called Suede. And I will be using a combination of Rephr brushes, BK Beauty brushes, and I'm starting off with the BK Beauty 202 brush. All right, so I am just going to be placing this in my crease. I think a shade like this mustard yellow, and then the other one that's in this palette that I pointed to earlier, I think these are like quintessential fall shades. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little bit ready for fall. Usually I like to hold on to summer as long as I can because I'm more of a warm weather girl than I am a cold weather girl, but I'm ready for a cool down. I'm ready for, like, you know, just 10 degrees cooler, you know? It's just been so hot lately, and a nice little cool front would really get me in the fall mood. I actually have already put out my fall decorations outdoors, so good to go there. All right, I'm having no issues with this shade. There's hardly any kick up in the pan. So far, we are off to a pretty great start. All right, now I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. The shade is called Buttercup. And I'm also gonna be applying that in the crease. And I'm going to use a Rephr 14. This is a brighter shade than the one I just applied. I'm gonna bring this in the inner corner as well. I just really feel like a nice yellow look, a sunflower look. Maybe that's the direction I'm gonna go in with this look. Sunflower inspiration. We'll see. I really like this yellow. Yellow is just so much fun to use. Very happy color. Now I'm going to take a Rephr 13, and I think I'm going to dive into cinnamon right here. Now I'm going to be applying cinnamon right here to the outer portion. Kind of just on the lid like that. I think I do need to go in with a darker shade. This isn't as dark as I was expecting it to be. So I'm now gonna go in with the shade right next to it, and this shade is called Pecan. And I'm gonna use that same Rephr 13. I'm just focusing this a little farther out and into the crease. Now I'm going to go back in with the first shade, which was called Suede. I'm just adding some right out here just to kind of blend things together. Going back in with a little bit more Pecan. Now I'm going back in with Buttercup, which was this brighter yellow. Now for the lower lash line, let's see, what do we want to do? I'm tempted to go in with Buttercup as well. But actually, let's try another shade. Let's go in with this shade. This shade right here is called Zest. And I'm taking Zest on a Rephr 26. So I'm thinking when I swatch this palette, I might swatch like maybe all the yellows together and all the reddish rusty tone shades together, just so that you can see the variation in shades, or maybe there isn't really much variation in shades, but that way we'll know what those shades look like, what we can expect, because I'm applying Zest right now, and I think it looks pretty similar. Like, it looks like a good combination between Buttercup and Suede, which were the first two shades that I went in with. So I think that's how I'm going to swatch the palette. I'll figure that out tomorrow. Now I'm going to go back in with a little bit of Pecan. Now I'm going back in with Cinnamon. Now I'm going back in with Buttercup. Now we could easily leave this as an all matte look. All right, now I'm going to take that same Rephr 26, and I need to deepen up this lower lash line with something. So let's go in with the shade October, keeping that really close to the lash line. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of Buttercup, same Rephr 26. And I'm focusing it right here on the inner corner. I'm going to drag it down a little bit as well. So what do we think, guys? We could easily leave this as an all matte look. I'm kind of thinking maybe we should, because I'm probably going to be using shimmers for the other 4 shades. I like it. I like the way these shades were just so easy to work with. So easy to work with. Let me apply some liner mascara, and I'll do something in the waterline, and I'll be right back to show you all the completed look. All right, guys, so this is the completed look number 1, all matte look with the Antidote eyeshadow palette. Let me quickly tell you what I used. Of course, my black favorite eyeliner is the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof liquid eyeliner. That's what I have on the top lash line. For mascara, I went in with this fairly new one from Essence. This is the I Love Extreme Limited Crazy Volume Mascara. This is a mascara that I will be using throughout today's video. And then for the lower waterline and ever so slightly in the inner corner, I went in with the ColourPop Creme Gel Liner. This one is in the shade Toucan Do It. I believe this was from the summer collection, the Lush Life collection. So if it's still in stock, I will have it linked in the description box of this video. And we did an all matte look. That was the first look, probably the only all matte look that I'll be doing in today's video, but this was really easy. This is definitely a fall inspired eye look and definitely really easy to work with these shadows. Let's jump over to the left eye and start working on look number 2. Okay, so for look number 2, let's do something a bit more neutral, like work with the brown shades. I think I'm gonna leave the green look for the end. So let's see, what shade do I want to start with? I think I'm gonna go in with Stone right here. I'm gonna work that in the crease. And I'm taking Stone on a BK Beauty 202. Now there's a little bit of kick up in the pan with this particular shade. But also I think it's maybe just how I dipped the brush in there. But overall, not too bad as far as kick up goes. And I definitely haven't experienced any fallout yet from this palette. Sometimes I forget to mention the part about the fallout. And if I do forget, it's just because it didn't occur. So there was nothing to mention. Next, I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. This shade is called Lotta Latte. I'm taking Lotta Latte on a Rephr 15, focusing that mainly in the crease, also bringing it down a bit. These shades are just blending so well, guys. Like, they're blending into each other perfectly. I really, really like this palette so far, as I expected to. I mean, I'm just such a fan of the Carnival 3 Love and Tahiti. All of those colors are just so fun. They're so inspirational. But it's the green section in this palette that really caught my eye and what made me want to buy it. That, and of course, you know, my prior experience with the formula. I really enjoyed it. All right, so good blend, good blend. Now I definitely need to deepen up that outer corner. So I think I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. The shade is called Chestnut, and I'm gonna use the same Rephr 14. It's just so easy to work with these shadows, guys. Really, don't be intimidated by the size of this palette. These shades are very forgiving. They're very user-friendly. That's what I like about this formula. I'm gonna go back in with the first shade, Suede. Right up here, lightly blending. Guys, and you'll notice most of my looks, I just use the same technique. You know, aside from just doing, you know, something like this or maybe a halo eye, nothing is ever too complicated with me. Just because, I mean, I want you all to be able to recreate these looks, and if I start mixing, you know, a lot of shades like next to each other, like kind of like a gradient type, I mean, I might even mess up. And I can't imagine somebody who's just, you know, getting into makeup and, you know, maybe watching a makeup tutorial. I would imagine that'd be difficult to recreate. So I like to keep my looks fairly simple to recreate, but still, you know, have a dramatic edge to them. And of course, I mean, you don't have to follow the steps exactly like how I'm doing them or even use the same shades that I'm using. Maybe you just decide you want to use 2 of the shades that I'm using and you can still pretty much get a similar look. So I think this is a nice blend. I'm going to leave that here. Now I want to play with some of the shimmer shades, and we definitely have a lot of choices when it comes to shimmer. I kind of just want to keep this like, again, like a brown, bronzy type of look. So I think I'm going to go in with this shade right here. This shade right here is called Dwindle. And for that, I'm going to use my new Rephr brush. This is the Rephr brush 21, and this is what it looks like. So this is the Rephr version of that Morphe M124 brush I'm always using, except this one I think is a little bit wider. So I'm going to pick up Dwindle, and I am going to spray the shimmer. And I just use setting spray, guys. This is a NYX one. You can use any setting spray. You can even use water if that's all you have. I sometimes use water as well. But the setting spray has a bit more of tackiness to it. It has that ingredient. What is the ingredient I'm trying to think of that makes, you know, like the makeup stick? You know what I mean? Since it's a setting spray. And that also is obviously going to help your shimmer shade stick to the lid by using a setting spray to spray the brush down with. This is a beautiful shade. All right, now for the lower lash line. For the lower lash line, I think I'm going to go in, I'm going to go in with this shade right here. The shade is called Fawn. And actually, you know what? I just swatched Fawn right here. I don't think I want to go in with that. I think that looks a little too orange. I'm glad I swatched it. I'm going to go back in with Lotta Latte, which was the second shade that I used. Yeah, this is definitely better. Now I could have done a green shade down here on the lower lash line, but I kind of just wanted to keep this like a cohesive look. Now I'm going to go back in with Dwindle, same Rephr 21. I'm going to spray it again, and I'm going to use that on the inner corner. Bringing it down as well. I'm picking up a little bit of Chestnut on the Rephr 26 just to get this little spot that I always miss right there. All right, so I really like the way this eye look turned out. Very simple, very neutral. I love it. I really love it. This shimmer shade is so pretty. I'm going to add, I think, some brown liquid liner and maybe a little sparkle to the lower lash line, and I'll be right back to show you all the completed look. All right, guys, so this is look number 2 with the Antidote Palette. What do you guys think? For brown liquid liner, I used this one from Flower Beauty. This is the Forever Wear Winged Liner in the shade Dark and Stormy. And then for the lower waterline, I went in with this one from LA Girl. This is the Shockwave Metallic Liner. This one is in the shade Penny. I even added just ever so slightly a little bit on the inner corner. And this is the look. I really like it. Really simple, really nice neutral look that can easily be a daytime or evening look. All right, guys, sadly, I have to wash off these 2 looks, but only so we can start creating 2 more. And then, of course, the 5th and final look. I will be right back. All right, let's start creating look number 3. I think I want to work with these berry tones over here. So I'm going to go in with Bon Bon first. And I'm taking Bon Bon on a Rephr 27. This is a really pink, very soft pink shade. Really nice. I'm glad that they included this shade in the palette just because I don't always think of this shade when I think of like a fall palette or maybe even like an all neutral palette. I think this is a nice, fun, subtle pop of color. And there are some like slight purple tones in this palette, not many, but this is a perfect shade to complement those purple and berry tone shades that are kind of more towards the bottom section of this palette. And again, no issues blending this shade either. All these matte shades are just performing so well. All right, nice blend. Now I want to go in with this shade down here. This shade is called Fuego, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of a halo eye with this look. So the brush that I love to use whenever I do halo eyes is this one from Rephr, and this is the Rephr 13. I'm going to kind of bring this halo eye up a bit, kind of winged out. This is a beautiful shade. A little bit of kick up in the pan with this particular shade. Now I'm going to apply some of that same shade to the inner portion of the lid. Wow, this is really pretty. Now I feel like we're already in Valentine's Day. I mean, forget fall, forget Thanksgiving. Like, this is definitely a Valentine's Day look right here. Now what I want to do, I'm going to leave the center shade for the last. I'm going to go in with this shade right here. This shade is called Fall, and I'm using that Rephr 26. I'm just going to run that along the lower lash line. Same Rephr 26, I'm going in with Fuego, just right here, like this outer half of the lower lash line. Connect it right here. Okay, now let's do something in the center. And I think the shade that I want to use, this one looks so pretty, is this one right here. The shade is called Oyster. And I'm picking that shade up with the Rephr 21. And I am going to spray it. Wow, that's so pretty. Who would have thought that you could get this kind of a look from this really neutral palette, you know? I didn't see these shades. Like, that's not what first pops out at you when you look at this palette. It's definitely the browns and the greens and those rusty shades, but look at this. Look at our Valentine's Day moment over here. Wow. All right, I'm going to add a little bit more of Fuego to each side just to make sure the edges are blended. I think I'm also going to add a little bit of the shade Oyster to the brow bone. I don't always do a brow bone highlight, but I think this look can handle it. All right, guys, so let me finish off this eye with some winged liner and mascara, and I'll be right back to show you all the completed look number 3. All right, guys, so this is look number 3. What do you guys think? I totally wasn't expecting to create this type of an eye look. I honestly didn't think the palette had these pinks. And like I was telling you all earlier, it kind of gets overlooked because of all the greens and rusty shades, but they're there. You can definitely create this look with this completely neutral palette. And I love the way it came out. I, of course, added that Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Liquid Liner. And for the lower waterline, I went in with this one from NYX, and I didn't mean to grab this one. This one is in the shade Happy Hour. They don't make this shade anymore, but I have another one that's almost identical from it, and it's also from NYX, so that is the one I will have linked in the description box in case you're looking for a new eyeliner. Highly recommend checking out NYX eyeliners. But this is the look, a pink smoky eye with, of course, a dramatic wing. I think I most definitely could have added falsies to this look and it would just have taken it to the next level, but it's not gonna be on for too much longer today, so we're just doing some mascara. And I know this lipstick doesn't go with this particular eye look, just overlook it because this is the one I'm wearing for the video. It goes with most of the looks that I'm creating. Anyway, let's jump over to the left eye and start creating look number 4. All right, so for this third eye look, I want to use this shade right here. The shade looks so fun. It's called Spice Coral. So I think I'm going to go in with this shade right here. This shade is called Bampas. I think that's how you would pronounce it. That's how I'm pronouncing it. And I'm going to take that on a rougher 27. I'm just going to be blending this into the crease. This is a nice peach shade. I think it's going to complement that coral shade very nicely. All right, now I'm gonna go in with this shade. It's called Spice Coral. This shade definitely looks more bright than it does on camera because I'm looking at it in the viewfinder and it definitely is a lot brighter in person. And I'm going to be building that in the crease, bringing it down some. The shade kind of reminds me, actually these two shades, they kind of remind me of shades that are in the Carnival palette. And I don't mind that at all. I like that they're including these brighter shades in this otherwise, you know, more neutral, muted eyeshadow palette. I think it just adds something extra to the palette. And definitely you don't have to do this bright of a look in the crease. You could very easily just have done this like on the lower lash line. I think that looks really good. And those shades blended so well with one another. Okay, now for the outer corner, let's see, what do I want to do? I think I'm gonna go in, there's not a lot of like really deep shades in this palette. I think this dark brown here, chestnut, is the deepest shade. I'm gonna go in with October up here. And I'm using a Rephr 13 and I'm just gonna start placing that out here. Don't know how well this is gonna, show up on top of this bright shade. I think I might need to use chestnut, that dark brown that I used in the first eye look because, October isn't popping with this coral shade. So I'm gonna use the same brush. I'm just cleaning it off and I'm picking up chestnut now. Apply that out here. Now I'm gonna go in with the Rephr 26. This is that brush that has the little point. And I'm gonna pick up chestnut as well. And I'm gonna use this to kind of define the crease. That's what I like about this brush. It's definitely one of my favorite Rephr brushes. But you can do this little detail work with it. More precision. I'm going back in with the brush I used for that coral shade. Now what I want to do, I am going to go in with this shade right here. The shade is called Pinup. And I'm going to apply that all over the lid. And I'm going to use the Rephr number 21. And I am going to spray the brush. I did feel a little bit of fallout with that shade. It could be because I'm loading up the brush too. But I'll wipe that away. All right, now we need to brighten up this look. I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. The shade is called Simmer. This is a nice gold shimmer shade. And I'm gonna apply that right here to the center. That's so pretty. Now I'm gonna pick up a little bit of Pinup, which is the red shade. I'm just using my finger. To kind of marry the shades together. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit more of chestnut, the dark brown, right there. All right, now for the lower lash line, I want to go back in with Spice Coral. And I'm going to use this little BH Cosmetics pencil brush. And I'm just going to pack that all along this lower lash line. All right, now what I want to do on the lower lash line, I think I'm going to go in with Aubergine right here. And I'm going to keep that really close to the lash line. Now using that same BH Cosmetics pencil brush, I'm picking up more of the shade Simmer, which was that pale gold. And that's of course going to be the inner corner highlight. Look at that. All right, so I'm going to add some liner and mascara, and I'll be right back to show you this fourth look. All right, guys, so this is look number 4. What do you guys think? I love these orange and rusty shades together. I did another wing. I know they're not even, but this is the wing that I intended to do on this eye. And you guys know wings, they don't always come out the same, but this is the good wing. This is a good wing, and it should have been on this eye, but oh well. I added a little bit of the LA Girl. It's the LA Girl Shockwave pencil liner. Here it is, in black, and that's what I have on the lower waterline. And I really think that adding the black in the lower waterline just really makes the look pop. It makes it a little bit more smoky too. So really like the way this came out. So now I need to remove one of these eye looks, and I think I'm just gonna remove this one so we can start creating the 5th and final look with this Antidote palette. All right, guys, so for the 5th and final look, you guys know we are using the green shades. I have got to use them. Oh, there's just so many. I tried to refrain from using the green just because I feel I'm always doing some type of a green eyeshadow look. So you're only getting one from me today, even though I probably could have done all 5 using these green shadows. But let's see, I think I'm gonna dive into, do I wanna do this shade or this shade? I think I'm gonna go with Moss. This shade, I'm gonna work that in the crease and then probably go in with Clover next. So I'm picking up Moss on a BK Beauty 202. That is a beautiful green shade. That's pretty. It's building up nicely too. Perfect. I love the shade. Okay, so now actually I think I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. The shade is called Sable, and I'm gonna work that in the crease. And to apply Sable, I'm using a Sigma E49. Ooh, look at that. This is the grungy side of the palette, and I love it. I love these two shades together. That's what I'm loving about this palette. Like all the shades are just coordinating so well. Very cohesive palette. I know there's like a lot of shades, but this is a good one. This is a good one. All right. So now what I want to do, I'm not going to go in with Clover. Let's go in with Antidote, the name of the palette. I'm going to deepen up the outer corner with this shade and then possibly go in with this shade Mystic as well. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, Mystic might be the darkest shade in the palette. We'll see. I'm going to use the Sigma, what is this? Sigma E27. I'm going in with Antidote first. I'll blend that in a minute, just applying the shade first. Now I'm going to go back in with a little bit of Sable to just blend out these two shades. Now I'm just adding a little bit of Moss, which was the first shade. Just lightly blending it. All right, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in with Mystic, and I'm taking that on a Rephr 13. That's going right in here. And also a little bit in the crease. Yeah, this shade is definitely the deepest shade in the palette. You can see all the different greens. Okay, now let's add some shimmer. There are so many beautiful shimmer shades on this green side of the palette. These two are the ones really popping out at me. So I think I'm gonna go in first with Venom, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of Slivery. And I'm gonna use the Morphe M124 since my Rephr brush has red on it. I don't want to mix the two. And I'm picking up Venom first. And I am gonna spray it. Ooh, look at that. That's so pretty. I'm just focusing that right in this area. I don't want to take away from that dark green shade Mystic. Now I'm going to flip the brush around and I'm going to pick up Slivery. And now I'm picking up a little bit of Antidote. I'm going to add Antidote right in here. Now I'm going back in with a little bit of Mystic. Love it. Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love a green eye look. Okay, now for the lower lash line, I'm gonna go in, let's see, I'm gonna go in with Ash. I'm taking Ash on a Rephr 26. Beautiful shade. Now I'm going back in with more of the shade Slivery. And now I'm going to go back in with more of Antidote, keeping that really close to the lash line. All right, guys, love it. I love it. Let me add some liner and mascara, and I'll be right back to show you this fifth and final look. All right, guys, so fifth and final look had to be a green eye look. I love it. This is definitely my favorite look out of the 5. There's just something about green eyeshadow, guys. It's definitely one of my favorite shadows to work with. For the lower waterline, I went in with one of my favorites from LA Girl. This is the Neon Shockwave Liner in the shade Gotcha. And of course, Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Liquid Liner, the Essence Mascara, and this is a completed look. Now let me give you guys my final thoughts, maybe some alternatives in case you cannot pick up this Carnival 4 Antidote Palette from bPerfect Cosmetics and Stacie Marie MUA. And I think you already know what I'm gonna say, but let's jump into it. Alright guys, so in case you didn't know what my final thoughts were going to be on this palette, I absolutely love it. I knew I was gonna love it. I enjoyed working with the Love and Tahiti, the Carnival 3 eyeshadow palette so much. Just looking at that palette makes me so happy that I knew I had to pick this palette up and create some looks for you guys. This palette definitely did not disappoint. If you love neutral shades, and this is not just a neutral palette, like by all means, there are definitely some fun pops of color. And hello, that pink halo eye that I created using these shades down here. Never thought that I was gonna get that kind of look from this palette, but this palette will definitely surprise you. It performs so well, guys. It's very user-friendly. Even though it is a rather large palette, please do not be afraid of all of these shades. They're all your friend and they're all gonna blend into each other beautifully. There is some kick up in the pan. You can kind of see it right here on the shade Antidote, but not too much. It's not too bad. The only shades that I got fallout from were from the shimmer shades, and that's because I was really dipping in my brush into the pan and packing it on, but it wasn't anything that I couldn't flick away with my brush. I just love the shades. I love the shades. There is something in this palette for everybody, and it definitely performs so well for almost 60 bucks. It's about, what, $56. You get these amazing shades, 45 different shades. You do have a mirror over here, and it is that cardboard packaging. Yes, it's a large palette, but man, oh man, does this palette scream fall. And please, if you pick up this palette, don't just limit it to the fall season. Use this beauty year round. Now, let me give you guys some alternatives, not dupes. I'm not duping this palette. Just some alternatives, things that you might already have in your stash, or maybe you have your eye on these palettes. Most of the palettes that I'm going to show you are available. There might just be one or two that could be currently out of stock. I know there's one for sure that was limited edition. It's not going to come back in stock. But first, let me start off with the Juvia's Place quads. These were released over the summer. This is the Rebel quad in the shade Army. And then this other quad is in the shade Honey. So these shades, these are definitely included in the Antidote palette. There are two other quads available on the Juvia's Place website. I want to say these are on Ulta as well. There's a mint palette and then there's a gray palette. I didn't pull the gray or the mint just because I didn't feel those shades were represented in the Antidote, but these shades most definitely are. So if you had your eye on these Juvia's Place palettes, they do perform really well and they're very inexpensive. Now, the palette that I'm saying is no longer in stock is the e.l.f. and Chipotle collaboration. And I feel like this definitely has a bit of a grungy vibe to it, which of course I feel the Antidote palette is a neutral lover, grungy lover's dream come true. But if you have this e.l.f. Chipotle palette, you definitely have similar shades that are in the Antidote palette. Now, the next two palettes that I pulled them because they are grungy eyeshadow palettes and they don't necessarily have the same shades, but they are grungy palette options. First, let's start with this one from Lethal Cosmetics. I picked this one up last year. I forget the name of this particular palette. I'll have it listed down here, but this is a nice, colorful, grungy eyeshadow palette. I know there's not a purple or blue in the Antidote palette, but this is just an option, an alternative. I want to say that you might be able to find this here in the States on Camera Ready Cosmetics. So if I find it there, I'll have it linked in the description box. If not, I'm going to link it directly to the Lethal Cosmetics website, but I enjoy this palette. Lethal Cosmetics does have a great eyeshadow formula, and I've had a lot of fun creating looks with this particular palette. And then also the Alien Cosmetics Not Normal palette. This is one of their latest releases, and I have already done 2 looks using this eyeshadow palette, but as you can see, there is green, yellow, gold, brown represented in this palette. Definitely a grungy, colorful eyeshadow palette that would be a nice alternative if you don't want to go the Antidote palette route. And then I also pulled, because of the green and yellow gold shades, the Nomad Cosmetics America's Parks palette. This was released over the summer, and Nomad Cosmetics is getting ready to release their Halloween palette, which I cannot wait to see that. Definitely going to be picking that one up. But look at this palette. gorgeous, gorgeous. Not as deep in tone as some of the shades in the Antidote palette, but definitely a neutral palette with those fun greens and gold, and even that rust shade and dark brown shade over here represented. You do get like kind of like a plum shade, which I think there's a very similar shade in the Antidote palette. So this is a nice alternative for the Antidote palette. And then lastly, I wanted to pull the ColourPop It's a Mood palette, just because this is a fall eyeshadow palette release. And this is what the palette looks like. I do have a video on this where I created 4 different looks using this palette, so definitely check that out. I'll have it linked up above. But again, a colorful, kind of on the grungy side, maybe just this area over here. But you definitely have, you know, like those berry shades, the green shades, the peach, neutral shades. This palette does contain 3 pressed glitters, and the Antidote palette has no pressed glitters. So again, just some options. Some options if you don't want to get such a large palette. But guys, trust me, if you've never tried bPerfect Cosmetics before, this is a great palette to start with, as is the Carnival 3 Love in Tahiti palette if you want to go the more colorful route, but you can't go wrong with either. I absolutely love both of these palettes. I'm so happy to welcome this into my stash. They did release, I think it was 5 or 6 different liquid eyeshadows. I didn't pick any of those up. I don't always reach for liquid eyeshadows, but they did look really pretty. So I will have this and that linked in the description box in case you want to check any of this stuff out. But this palette is getting 2 thumbs up for me. So now it's time for me to hear from you. Let me know which of the 5 looks was your favorite. If I had to pick my top 3, I would definitely go with look 5. I would go with look 3, the pink halo eye. And then I think I would go with look 2, which was that brown smoky eye. But let me know your thoughts, guys. And also let me know if you're going to be picking up this palette. I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. You all have a great day or night, wherever it is you all are at. Stay hydrated, guys. Drink your water. Cheers. And I will see you all very soon. Bye.